Well, welcome to Nat One Nights. This is our Nights at Night podcast. We'll be going over some points of interest over our last episode. If you haven't checked that out, it's on YouTube, and I gotta say, it's one of the most fire episodes yet.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
that's one way to put that.
Dude, that episode was pretty fire.
Well, yeah, I wonder why.
Yeah. I think the first one we did, the first Nights at Night, was episodes 1 through 3, because Ben started playing on the third one, right? So this one would be discussing episode 4 and 5, which I didn't really put into the bullet points here, but I don't even remember what we did episode 4.
Not a sleeper moment.
or the what was that dragon called? That thing that was flying down again. I wrote it down. I just can't remember the name of it.
The skeleton dragon.
Dracolich,
Was that what it
man.
was?
Yeah, that thing was sick. Because it doesn't have like lightning and stuff like flowing through its chest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
Episode 4, that's where we left off in the barracks with Lyndon and fighting the zombies, and then you guys like had a meeting with Bartram, and then you fought Kriker. That's what episode 4 was. Which
we're going
talk
back
about that. I mean, we even then.
Wait, we're going
like,
back to 4.
This is discussing 4 and 5, which I mean, not much really happened in 4, but like
I don't know. Our mage had some
Well,
quick thinking in episode 4 with that healing salve.
Yeah, that was going back to that. As soon as he did that, it was just like it was the realization where you turn around, and you're like, oh yeah, shit, like your throat's cut, man. I'm just killing everything. You're over there dying. So yeah, unless Josh would have thought of it, I think honestly, do you think he would have died? I will personally say I would have not thought of that at all.
No, I looked. Thought he was dead already.
I thought he was gonna die, but I figured I always I had that in the back of my mind.
So in all reality, we get to thank Josh for those 15 extra hit points that we got from Bart.
It didn't do much for me.
Well, the funny thing was,
didn't do much for Chad.
I completely forget what magical items I give you guys, and then Josh whipped that out, and I was like, "Oh
really figuring out what Kriker was. That was the fight in the cathedral, wasn't it? And that all went down with Bart.
Town Hall.
Or Town Hall, yeah, that's where it was.
But yeah, and then when he went over to heal Bartram, I was like, even me, I was like, oh yeah, Bartram's been dead for a little bit. So then I was like, oh, I gotta catch up on death saves, and he failed 2 of them in a row. But then Josh was like healing him, so he's just back up. But yeah, that was kind of shitty. Like, I was a little bummed that the audio wasn't recording for that fight. But I mean, even at that point, we were like, oh, this is the greatest D&D battle we've ever had, and then it just gets dwarfed by episode 5. Which, I mean, starting on the bullet points here, what's your guys' first, now that we've had a week since that session, what's your biggest takeaways from the entirety of that session?
I'm having nightmares about the Death Knight every night.
Yeah, I think that was definitely, one of our first feeler fights, and it was one of those ones where, I mean, we got to play everything right to survive. I mean, I was trying to do everything, and I was even buffing Benedict, and I mean, other than Ace, and I think one other person hit him. I could not hit the guy, so I knew it.
I think we all did damage to him.
I don't know. I don't think I actually did.
I watched the episode over and I took notes. I'm pretty sure we all did.
Huh. Well, it must have not been that much to remember it.
And I guess I don't see notes from anything from Caladan.
By the way, Johnny, or Chad, is not here with us. He's at work, but that's okay.
No, honestly, my takeaways from that week, I honestly had goosebumps, and if I think back of it, I still semi get goosebumps, just with how Caladan was in the circle, going back and forth of, do I give in to evil? Do I not? And then the fire breath is when the goosebumps just happen. Like, I can't get that shit out of my head.
Did you go back and watch it?
Yeah.
Dude, I watched it like 3 times.
Yeah. I didn't watch all of it. I watched the end part twice, but
Well, one of my biggest takeaways from it was especially going back and watching it, because there's like so much whenever we play where I'm like, all the gears in my head are on fucking full throttle and I'm thinking all these different things, trying to keep up on like what you guys are saying to each other and what you're saying to me and what your like the characters are like thinking of doing. Meanwhile, just be like being a DM kind of things. But there's so much things that I don't pick up on like while we're playing, and I'll go back and I'll watch sessions and like some of you will have like full on conversations for like 30 seconds to a minute and I don't remember any of it.
yeah, now that you say that, I had the same experience. Like there was dialogue, I had no idea it happened.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel the same.
Have you ever went back and watched some of them, Sam?
I watched like the first 2, but no, not like the most recent ones.
In episode 5, at least, there were certain conversations. I was like, "Yep, did not remember that." But my head was probably buried in my book writing for the first half of that episode.
When I was looking for one of the clips, like the night that it happened, I found the spot where it was, and I was like paying attention, looking at you, Shade, and like one of the sentences towards the end of that, I'm still looking at you, but I just have zero recollection of it at all.
Yeah,
like,
bro.
I don't remember him saying that part.
It's because all like I said, all of our gears in our heads are on fucking full throttle.
Information overload.
And you guys mentioned on the last Nights at Night, it's like when we're doing dialogue and shit, it's like hard because you're like trying to think about what you want to say, but then you're also like saying it while you're trying to listen to what the other person's saying, and
you're under pressure. You gotta act quick.
Well, like when I messaged Caladan and Shade was like, "Okay, hurry up, you gotta think of something."
Yeah, you're talking about that. I mean, that was horrible. That was a horrible like last 30 minutes for me, man.
You were pulling out your hair.
Like 2 people tearing at like just my character. One's trying to take all all my faith. And then I got 2 of my best, or people I consider my best friends now, or my companions, telling me not to do it. And then if I don't do it, I'm getting threatened that you guys are gonna die. That was honestly one of the harder decisions I had to make in a while.
Yeah, we'll get to that whole thing in depth in a bit, but basically wrapping up my like first impressions, first thoughts, when I was rewatching it, not only like the dialogue and whatever you guys are like saying and everything, but like that whole, especially in that last like hour where we're fighting the Death Knight and we're down in the crypt and everything, I didn't realize until I went back and I rewatched it, like everything I did as the Death Knight dude, especially Josh and Sam, were like analyzing everything I was doing. I would like roll for a hit and I'd say like, yeah, that's a 26 to hit. And then your fucking expressions were just like, okay, I did. And then like whenever I'd roll a save, like every single time you guys would cast a spell, you're like, of course he fucking saves. He's probably rolled like a 40.
Yeah, of course he rolls it. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm convinced that Death Knight has plus 20 to every single save.
I don't want to show him the stat block. I don't want to show the stat block yet, but fuck, man. Yeah, there's so many things I could say, but I don't want to spoil anything. I did show Josh and Johnny a little bit after the sesh. A little bit of his stat block. But I think the reason why you guys are being so pressured by when he has to make saving throws or anything is because he gets advantage when he has to make saving throws against magical effects.
Oh.
Awesome.
And he has like a plus 20 to
it. Sick, dude. That's fucking sick.
Far down the road, you guys can see the stat block. I'll show it to you.
Far down the road, because first our characters have to die, and then we have to get there with different characters.
All right, moving on to the second bullet point here. we got crypt expectations. Like, were you this is more of a Sam and Josh question. Like, were you expecting this crypt to be similar to Fogsfield at all? Or like Sam, when you got the premonition of like the bulkhead, is this what you expected? Or I mean, everybody, once you guys were like going through the tunnels and everything, like what did you expect? Like when this whole city fight was going on, you heard that the Death Knight was coming from like the south end of the city. Like what were your characters thinking at that time when you're going to the bulkhead?
I don't know. I mean, at that point, we were having to go through so much. A lot of the decisions we made, I feel like, even halfway through that tunnel, we're just like one after another.
Right on the spot.
So, like,
Yeah.
I think the things when it came to the cave, to me, that was fitting is I kind of figured we were going to come to a point where it was either going to be, again, another sealed entrance, but it was going to be like on a scale. Or like kind of how you made it seem like it was a place that nobody had been for a long time, you know? So like that fitted very well, you know, kind of towards the end. I didn't really know what to expect when we were going through the tunnels because shit started to get weird, you know? So I'm like, oh God. So that's why I had to think like a little bit outside the box because I thought maybe we were being tricked, but I did not expect that. But yeah, no, the ending when we put the goblets and stuff together, that was sick, and that's kind of how I figured you would, or it would be in, you know, comparison to the other ones we went to, I guess you could say. So I thought it was super cool.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
mean,
again, hard to do that, hard to, you know, really think on it, and think I was focused on that when again we were in a pretty high pressure situation. You know what I mean?
yeah, what you said at the beginning there also reminded me. But what you said, like where you were like it was one after another. We were right after, almost like every time we play, Josh, Johnny, and I hop into Josh's room and then or his gaming room and then we like watch it. And he was like, he pulled up the the stream, the session, and he was like, he made a joke or something where it was like we started the city fight. It was like that was like what 25 30 minutes in, and then for the rest of the session it was just non-stop, like back to back to back.
Battle.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I guess adding on to that, like did you guys, like Josh and Ben, did you guys like what did you expect when you Caladan has this vision of the bulkhead? You hear the Death Knights coming. Like, did you think you were gonna like intercept him? Did you think it was like a race to beat him? Do you think you were gonna find him somewhere?
I definitely thought we were trying to catch up to him, and then he popped down behind us, and I was like, "Oh, could we have intercepted him before getting here in a more advantageous situation?" It's too late for that, but I was shocked that we were ahead.
Yeah, I mean, there's a
And
couple ways that it could have panned out, but you guys like were pretty like after that gate sequence, it was like, all right, let's go.
I kind of liked it because, especially with moving it's not a chalice, but you know what I'm talking about. When we moved the thing and lit the braziers and opened the door, opened the passageway, and then opened the door, it was just kind of wild. I like that. And finally was like, yeah, let's just open the door. We're going in.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Or falls over.
Yeah, I expected them to, or maybe it to open, not to fall over.
So you guys wanted to like close it behind you?
Oh, kind of, yeah. Or maybe like as we went in, somebody could be. Well, you could have still been a lookout, but what's the point when you got a gaping hole in the wall? You know, like
I can't. What was the one in Fogsfield? How did that one open?
I think I just kicked that bitch open too.
Yeah, it's the same
Either
thing.
that or
Right?
I smashed it. I got mad. I failed the kick, so I took the hammer out and just blasted the door. I think.
Man, our paladin kind of got this short temper, huh?
Sign him up for some
Could be.
classes.
That's one way to think about it, I guess.
Moving on to the next one. Did you guys catch all of the lore? Because there was a lot that happened in the session. Not only like action, but as well as like getting lore dumped with like uh, Chad's whole vision about the like apothecary-ish, whatever, laboratory, as well as the book
Remind me on the book. Which book?
You mean the book that he opened
The
that we
book he
stole from the...
Oh
tower
yeah.
Yeah.
that got blasted.
Did you guys catch all that, or were you making some connections? I noticed when I was reading the book to Chad when he pulled it out, Benedict and Ace were talking about like connections or whatever, because Benedict was like pulling up his notes, or Josh was pulling up his notes, and he was like, oh yeah, so like this hand symbol I have written right here, blah 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 blah. But then it was like that while you guys were discussing that, like you missed the whole first half of that book.
Yeah, I definitely, I definitely missed a chunk of that.
Me as well.
And
That was the one when I was talking about the... well, it gave me hints, and I think I talked to Chad about it, where it was like the necromancy shit. I thought that was
Yeah, it was Ikron of Magnum Opus.
yeah. Right, as soon as I heard that, I'm gonna be honest, like when you were reading that and I was paying attention to it because I had visions with Chad. Yeah. No, just hearing about necromancy, and then it kind of made me feel like we were kind of messing with something we shouldn't be messing with, you know? Like it was just gonna get about to get real bad.
Moving on from that, Death Knight.
Yeah. Love the guy.
I think the way Josh said it earlier
Right.
is perfect. Nightmare.
Yeah.
I feel like at one point in that fight, if I watched the VOD, I tried to hit him, and I think I even used... The only time I think I hit him was with Guided Strike, which gives me, like, so much attack bonus.
No, I'm pretty sure you used the guided strike on the giant skeleton.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't actually think you did hit him.
Maybe that's what I did.
I think I was shot. I don't remember exactly, but
Bro, it's
I mean, you hit him
crazy.
at the end, so there
But
you
there was a
go.
point in that fight with him where I said, okay, we got to do something to lower, like, you know, his quote-unquote defenses, because I can't hit him. You know what I mean? So then I think that's...
I burned
We
two
tried using it.
level 3 spell slots to slow him.
Yeah.
He evaded both.
Asterisk attempt to slow.
Bro, like I said it once, I'll say it again. Like going back and watching it, bro, you could see a turning point in that fight of when all of your guys' souls were just crushed. And then Josh just like started putting his face in his hands, you know. And then Sam just sat back and he was like, okay.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's tough, and we're also at a point too where, you know, I feel like as a group, like the group dynamic is there. Like we all feel pretty comfortable with how we can play our characters, but I mean, when something like the Death Knight came in, I mean, that was like struggle fucking bus for everybody, because then in the fight, he just looks at Benedict, hits him once, and the next thing he was just gone. He just disappears, dude. Like
I love it, dude.
He's literally a mile away.
Dead. I'm like, he's actually dead.
Well, the funniest part about that too was I was like, yeah, you see shadows outstretched from the corner, and Benedict disappears, and all of you were like, oh, like literal Josh. And then after that, like in game, when he failed the concentration check, so then Benedict comes back. When Benedict came back, Caladan was invisible right after the Death Knight did that, like striking the ground and it like spiderwebbed out.
And he
Everybody
probably
got hit
couldn't
by
see
that.
me.
Yeah, everybody went prone. So Ace is on the other side of the cavern behind the sarcophagus, laying down, so you can't see him. Chad is on the ground, laying down around the corner, so I don't think he could even see him, and Caladan was invisible. So when Benedict came back, the only thing he saw was the Death Knight standing up there.
Oh man, that is too good.
Yeah, I was.
What did you think was happening to you, to your character, Josh and Benedict, when that happened? Like, what was going through your mind?
Well, I
Like
mean,
that very moment.
well, as soon as he turned around and you know started rolling to hit me and kind of described what was happening, I was like, oh, okay, there's gonna be like some like shadowy claws that come up through the ground and just pull me close to him. Like I'm just gonna get pulled right next to him. And then I got teleported, and I was like, I wonder how long I'm gonna be here. Like either I'm gonna die here, or my whole squad is gonna die back there.
Yeah.
So I was pretty relieved when I got sent back when he broke concentration.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess from your character's perspective, what do you think was going through your heads when, you haven't physically ran into this Death Knight guy yet. You don't even know his name. The only thing you've like heard about is through Chad's visions and when Lyndon was like, yeah, he's attacking the South Gate or whatever. And then now going into this crypt, and then you're fighting these two Spectre like ghost dudes, and then the Death Knight comes in and just like obliterates them in a second. Like what's going through your character's minds at that point?
We fucked up.
Bad news bears. I can't even hit the ghost, and this guy just slaughtered them. Killed them both at 1 second.
Yeah, I was like sitting over there with the meme where the chicks, there's like a million things flying by, and I'm like, how the fuck do we do damage to this thing? And then, yeah, instantly knew it was going to be terrifying when he just walks down, completely like not ignores us, but just one taps those things and just starts beelining it towards somebody. I'm like, this is going to be rough, boys. So instantly I buffed Benedict and I put Armor Egg at this on. Yeah, that was a I don't really, honestly, didn't know kind of what was running through my head, bro. It was going to be rough. I thought, wow, we were going to die. And I still kind of think we're due. So.
Yeah, and then that ties into the next bullet point, which is I don't know if this is the first one, but knockout, incapacitated. He's not dead yet. And if he didn't have the parry app of wound closure, he would be making death saves. But
And I was just taking a nap.
like, what are our thoughts on that? Chad specifically getting knocked out.
I mean, knowing he has the necklace, it makes me less worried. Granted, I'm still worried because obviously one out of the four of us is, incapacitated, but it's high on my agenda to pick him up.
I think it just makes me worried. We saw how easily and quickly one of us was partially dispatched. So
And then the sheer damage of one ability,
yeah.
I think, is what really turned it from okay, we know we're doing this, and now we're like, okay, we're in the shit. Like we're getting hit for 3/4, if not all of our HP, if they hit the 3 just basic melee attacks, dude. That, yeah, nuts. And then when I killed Chad, I was like, or knocked him. As a big eye opener.
The next bullet point we got here, the entire city battle, that whole sequence there. What were your thoughts on all of that, and did you like the pacing of it?
I thought it was great. Perfect pacing, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was kind of cool how it was different with the city battle. Like, we could choose what we wanted to try to help with. And it was just kind of cool. It was like almost I don't know how to explain it. Because it wasn't just typical roll to hit.
Yeah, I wanted to mix it up a little bit. Rather than,
I definitely enjoyed that.
Just like role play, combat, role play, combat, role play, repeat. I honestly didn't even know how well it was going to work, but like in my like notes that I have for each session, I just had like do some rolls. That's literally what I had written. Do some rolls, underlined. And then I had like dialogue, things that might happen, and then just another do some rolls.
So, I don't know if you can answer, but I kind of want to ask, what would have happened if we started rolling natural ones during that?
On like the group roll part?
Yeah, in the group roll.
It just narratively would have turned out differently. Like I did have some structured for it. So rather than just like doing some rolls, I had like a thing in mind, where it was like you do a group roll. So like I was doing the rolls for like all of the NPCs and like the people, and then I tried to keep it more like atop the ramparts and then as well as the gate. So there was like two different points that you guys kind of had to like pick and choose what you wanted to help out at, and Benedict was really the only person helping up by the ramparts. And it wasn't, you guys were doing really good down at the gate itself, uh, but it wasn't towards the end when Benedict and you guys kind of retreated a little bit that we had some bad rolls go up top. So that's why I just described like them coming over the rampart. And I think that's also right when we had a bad roll, and that's when Benedict got grabbed and yanked over the side.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But other than that, I mean, not even really a nat one, but anything below like a 15. I don't think any of you guys rolled below a 15
We were
on
rolling
any of those
crazy
rolls.
good.
And me. I had like a natural 20 right at the beginning and then like 3 18s in a row. So like you guys were just holding the gate down on lock like easy, and the ramparts. But I mean, if you want to talk about natural ones, it would have definitely leaned more towards, Benedict getting yanked over the edge type shit. Or, I mean, yeah, I don't know how much we want to talk about it,
Possibilities
but
are endless.
yeah, like if you want to talk about the gate itself, if Caladan rolled a natural one, maybe the wave of skeletons overtakes him, and then I'd be rolling for some damage and stuff.
What was the ability Benedict cast again that created that fire when I was down?
Flaming sphere.
Fireball? Or yeah, flaming sphere. Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. When I was like sitting there defending, and you send that down there and positioned it. That was pretty cool.
One thing that I kind of liked that happened this such too is at moments there would be two of you guys talking, while at the same time other stuff was happening. So like at that whole sequence there at the front gate, for example, um, like I think Caladan was talking with Chad and Ace, I believe, and you guys were like doing whatever, and then like also like you in real life were like talking to each other at the table, and then I was describing like the Minotaur in the group of like that mob coming towards the gate, and I was like, it's getting closer, 10 feet, 5 feet, and then Josh was like, yo, get down, it's coming, boom, and then it like hits the gate and shit, and then that's when Sam looked over and he was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But that's also what's nice about, I mean, there's things called theater of the mind, and then like using Dwarven Forge, like pulling out like a map and like physically having a grid thing. And there's advantages and disadvantages to each of those. So like with the map grid thing, some advantages for that is like, during combat, like when you fought the Naga and the giant skeleton, for example, um, you can really play with the mechanics with like, and it really works out with like all of your abilities, because it's all, the mechanics of D&D and everything. It's for like the 5 foot per square and how many feet away are you and things like that. But then also in theater of the mind, that's when you really get to play around with everything. So rather than that front gate sequence, I mean, it would have been cool if I whipped out a whole map with like the gate and et cetera, et cetera. But with theater of the mind, it's pretty cool how, like Ben was saying, that whole sequence, different things can happen, like the Minotaur hitting down the gate, or Johnny or Chad up in the tower shooting it with a ballista, then the fucking tower goes down. Another bullet point, another knife. Did you guys catch that?
Yeah.
That was towards the end.
Yeah, I was feeling something might be good in there, but as you can tell, I'm never getting that frickin' thing off. I think I'd need to. I think I have like a -3 in strength or something for athletics. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, that was kind of towards the end where it was hinted that there was another knife, but none of you guys really said anything about that.
I think the main priority was getting in the bubble. Crying.
Obviously, with the video, I mean. Benedict just running up there. I'm gonna get in there. Yeah, so you just bounce off of it.
Another thing we have here, yeah, I mean, more about that knife thing. I mean, it's kind of hard to talk about anything else with the elephant in the room being like that cliffhanger of where you guys are at right now, that whole situation. But
let me ask you this: did you expect Caladan to do what he did?
No, I didn't.
At the end there.
Not at all.
Really?
Nothing. No. It literally didn't even cross my mind. Every session now, I'm thinking of things. I'm like, all right, so, you guys, it's easier for a party to go off the beaten path, or what I don't have notes for, or what I didn't expect, and everything, right? But as we've played more, I've kind of bought into that and tried to think. I'm like, all right, so where are the gaps where they could squeeze out of and do, go down a route that I didn't expect. And I try to think of all the avenues. If you think of like a tree and all the branches go out, I'm trying to like see all of the different, and that was something that I did not expect. I was expecting for you just to be like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I don't think Ace had a doubt in his mind that that's what Caladan was going to do.
But that's what's
you
cool.
Didn't think I would have given in?
I don't think Ace would have thought that with how he's seen you just for the few episodes Ace has been a part of with you. He thinks I think Ace thinks like, no, this guy's a stubborn bastard. He ain't giving in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of explaining to Josh too, with I didn't expect Caladan to do that. Is like it's a like how kind of like how Sam, like you saying you were torn between like, what did you say? You said something in the VOD where you were like between my morals and my heart or something, and that's like similar to me because like me as Shade, I'm like, take the gift, you fucking take it. But then me as a DM, the whole thing with like Ace being like, you sissy, and then like, no, and like standing up and breathing in his face, it's like, yes. But then like me as Shade, I'm like, you fuck. Take it.
Like, I don't know, when I was sitting there and you gave me that ultimatum twice, and then the first when Benedict came by, like, of course, obviously I'm gonna deny that, just for the fact of it was the first. But then when you came back the second time and made it like you gave me the promises or the guarantee, you're like, you could just get out of here. And I'm like, and then Ace comes in just last second, and or whatever. The only a sissy would agree to that, or something like that, or whatever he
only
said.
A sissy would be on his knees for evil or something.
Yeah. So that was perfect.
Yeah, I mean,
no, it was super hard for my character, man. I don't know. And that's what I was so invested in, trying to make sure I was making the right decision. I guess you could say, honestly.
Dude, you were literally like pulling your hair out.
Yeah, it was frustrating, man. Because I also didn't want to just make the wrong choice and then just kill like my character off or something like that, or have something happen if I made the wrong choice, I guess. Like, you could just be conning me into agreeing, and I don't know. So that's what's tough about it, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, let me pull up my notes.
And I think everybody will cross that rota with their character, you know what I mean? Like, have to go through that. Think about those things, and it's kind of really hard to process in the moment. But I don't regret any decision I made in that situation. It was awesome.
Yeah, and I feel like I succeeded that session, or all of us did really. But in my notes that I use on my phone for D&D, and I have all my shit in there, at the very top, if you have to sum together like one goal, like if you guys had one singular goal as a player, type shit. My number one goal as a DM, it's not have a session run smoothly. It's not What? It's not to have a session run smoothly. It's not to make really cool combats. It's not to have it be really close combat. Whatever. I have it written right here. My goal as a DM is to make my players feel their characters' emotions: fear, joy, glory, sadness, and all. That is my number one goal, and I definitely felt like my how do I explain it? My battery has been fully recharged from that session, like with that whole Caladan, like whatever. It was so perfect, dude. And then Ace coming in with the fuck, like the party and Benedict coming up and being like, no, oh, dude. And then like everybody laughed when Ace was like, oh, that's what sounds like something a sissy would do. But if you go back and watch it, I didn't laugh at all because I was like, oh, that hits me right in the heart, man. Like
Yeah.
it was
Couldn't
so
say anything
perfect,
better.
literally.
Which that kind of ties into the next bullet point is what's next.
Be running.
Yeah, I hate to say, I gotta step away for 5 minutes. I'll be right back. Sorry,
fine.
Shade.
Yeah, like what's next? What do you think is gonna happen when we at the beginning of next session right after I fucking do the recap and I'm like, that brings us into where we're at right now.
Oh
Sam's
man,
already gonna be drenched in sweat.
pretty much.
The bubble's fucking indestructible, so you're shit out of luck.
And I mean, not even talking about uh, the whole Death Knight situation you guys are in right now, but everything else. There's a lot of stuff happening that's outside of the crypt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Like it seems like the whole place is coming down. I mean, and not only that, but the army. Sure, we have the Death Knight. But what about the army? you know? And we're
Yeah,
obviously not giving in to somebody who, whether we know it or not, plays an important role in that army or this whatever. But
Yeah, there was during that whole gate sequence, um, when I was describing what that army looked like, and Sam was like looking at his notes or he's looking at his character sheet or something. And then while I was describing all that, and then I got to the middle where I was like, if you had him take account, tens of thousands, and then Sam looks up and he's like, what? uh,
I remember seeing that.
and I don't know, man. Like I said, you really don't know. I didn't know what to expect. Maybe it was a small one, just or something, But that's again, it just changes everything so suddenly.
yeah, I mean, adding on to the whole what's next part, but like, it's hard to talk about because we're so early on in the campaign that you don't really want to spoil your characters' backstories and everything. We want to like naturally get to it. But I mean, it's common throughout everybody that like we're going to flesh out your backstories, and there's things that places we can go and people we can talk to and things that will happen, so we can get that natural curve out of it. But that being said, what are you guys' thoughts on, like, let's say hypothetically you make it out of the crypt, um, what then? Do you go towards your character's backstory things? Do you stick together with the party? Do you, you know, what do you think is going to happen to the city itself? Where are you going to go? Are you going to stay there?
I mean, I think ideally stick together depending on who and how we all get out. But I mean, I think the bond has grown to a point where it's not as easy to just break it between each other. So probably explore everybody's backstories, however they come. We'll
Yeah, I mean, I guess
about, like the tens of thousands of people or undead coming towards us.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a given that you guys would like stick together, because it's like, but it is what it is. Which, yeah, like I said before too, it's hard to talk about those things without like, spoiling anything and et cetera, et cetera. But I feel like, a conversation like this would be a lot easier later in the campaign or maybe after, because then we'll know everything, whatever.
Yeah.
But
yeah, we still barely know who our new fucking friend is. Still, we've just been blasted with thing after thing. Paladin's kind of curious to, flesh out at least who Ace is at this point.
yeah, that's the thing
Because
too.
I mean, really,
I was
I
gonna
don't know.
say was
Up until the point where the sissy joke, I was kind of like, eh. There always something was kind of maybe on the back burner that we haven't got to yet about his character. And thinking ahead about that, that's what I'm curious about. But
yeah, that's what's cool too, that we actually get to like experience as like D&D
who knows? It's
players.
kind of hard to say.
What there's like I forget what it is, but there's a rule or everybody like, it's a common rule or whatever where it's a majority of campaigns, something like 90% of campaigns don't make it past like session 3 or something like that. And I thought it was very cool to feel as like a DM and you guys as a player and us as a group. Like you could definitely feel that moment where it was like it switched from just playing a bunch of random characters that fight a goblin, fight shit, get loot, kill shit, get loot, and there was that moment where it was like, oh, like we're playing people that have gotten to know each other and that like has repercussions and ties into our actual decision making. So it'll be super interesting how it comes out. We come out of this fight, and then also adding on to that bullet point, which is what's next. I'm gonna say this to you guys when we group up to play the next future couple sessions, is at least for the near future and if not foreseeable future, there's gonna be a lot more. I want to say role play, kind of like how session 1 it was all combat, and then session 2 was like a fucking polar opposite, where it was you guys were just in a cart ride RPing for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm gonna add
falls asleep.
I'm gonna add combats and stuff in there, but expect more of that. Kind of hard to explain, but for the foreseeable future in the campaign, and also I kind of want to make a shift where we're going more into RP. Kind of like how you guys have those sticky notes with the questions. I think that did help a little bit, but then that'll also give us time, and I'll try not to hit you guys with the back to back to back, like getting into shit. So you actually have time to like sit down and be like, okay, us as characters, let's have these conversations about what are these visions, and just try to make some connections, and what is this book? Where do we want to go? And actually like talk about things.
I semi like that though. Like a couple of bullet points I know I was going to talk about was one was about the party and overall, and a lot of that is dialogue and talking. Like we were talking earlier about our characters' emotions and feelings and seeing it from our character's perspective. And from my character's Ace's perspective, I felt it's a group of guys. It's not a party by any means. I'm just tagging along, and this last episode, I think Ace really has felt that this is his party. Like it's not something to be abandoned when things are going bad. Like he sees Kaladin where he's at, and it's something. And I think dialogue going along, story role playing between the characters, I think it's been a huge part of how he feels that it's really his party now.
Yeah, I honestly think a big part of that, obviously the elephant in the room is the whole we're right now currently in a crypt with this dude that's fucking us up and we might die. But I think what it is was at the gate. when all of you guys saw that army. And that like subconsciously in you guys, the players, like Sam, Josh, and Ben, as well as in your characters' minds, embedded like some subconsciously in there, like you guys know your backstories and everything, but like, oh shit, we might all just be we're all from our hometowns, not 3 nights ago we were just sleeping in our own beds to now all of us are together and we see that shit.
Yeah.
Like, I was
imagine
fully confident we were gonna kill them all.
that'd be like in real life if us 4 went to like war. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think
went on
that
a quest
was
to
a big part.
Walmart and saw 10,000 zombies.
Yeah.
While we were also on the way to the Renaissance Fair, and all we had is our costumes.
That's why when this fight started, and I was thinking about Benedict since me and you were up, and I was talking to the one. It was an elf, wasn't it? Or Elvin. That lady I was talking to at the gate.
Favorite from Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was an elf.
Yeah, when I was with her and I saw Benedict, and I told you to go up on top by the ramparts. Is that kind of where you wanted to go to on that fight?
Yeah, I was gonna plan to go up top and just shoot down.
Yeah, I was just curious about how you thought about that.
I hate to do this, boys, but my head really is split in half. I'm probably gonna have to dip.
Okay.
That's fine.
No worries.
I'll talk to you boys tomorrow.
Yep, sounds good.
So I think we can start hopping into some questions here for character-specific stuff. This was a question for Kaladin and Chad, but we'll just ask Kaladin. What are your thoughts on all the visions?
Well, like I said at that point when I realized I don't know. It's when I was teleported in that area, you completely like caught me off guard there. Like when I grabbed the dagger out of frustration.
Really?
Oh, completely. Like that's why I took out my mace, and I was gonna start like actually, even though it was just start be like buffing myself, because like I thought it was like, I don't know, that was kind of a completely different whole level of thing that happened. Like I was brought to somewhere where like I could feel like nothing could reach me, and I had no idea, but like the voices I was hearing they came from everywhere. Yeah, that was like super alarming. And then it just goes to nothing. Like, and then you're just back in your room. I'm like, holy fuck. So yeah, I honestly did not see that shit coming with the visions at all. And when it got there, that's why my character was like panicky, antsy, like ready to just do what he knows best, and that's to just start smashing shit because he knew something bad was gonna come.
The only thing I've done this whole campaign is just give Kaladin PTSD.
Pretty much, it's the war,
You got any daggers that make you see shit when you touch them?
Yeah, dude, that was the greatest thing about that in the tower, man. It was like it's throwing in little stuff like that. But
like 30.
Yeah, no, I even revealed a little bit of the backstory of my character, and again that whole decision making when it came to being trapped, given an ultimatum against something that to me I feel like I was so inferior to in the first place, and like I gave a little bit away of like, again, the moral and the heart thing is like, just from what it came from and what I obtained through my faith, but also not only my faith, but now these new companions. That was huge to my character because again, it puts those two things of, I know what I'm trained to do, and it gives me like revenge on what happened to me, or I've also gained these things that I'm not very used to, which is the friendships that, that was so hard to make so many of those decisions. So I think that episode for me, and giving in a little bit of that too around the backstory of my character, was super cool for me to do, or to be, or to have gone through, like it was nuts.
Dude, like,
and that's what I envisioned D&D, man. I mean, this is my first campaign with you guys. We're obviously friends, but like this is the shit that when I come and hang out with you guys and we play D&D, you know, I'm all in. So that was pretty huge for, Caladan to also express that, or to kind of, just be presented, or now it's kind of known a little bit about what's going on behind, his backstory a little bit. So that was super cool.
Yeah, like 30 sessions from now, or like every session, we're gonna be like in another town across the way. It's gonna be like months from now in game, and like Caladan, every time he sees like a knife in like a blacksmith or anything, he's gonna be like, like hesitating to grab it. Got a question for Benedict.
Cheer.
Book the hand symbol connections, question mark, because you were
Book.
you you were looking at your notes trying to make some connections as well, because you had some stuff written down from the first episode. Like, what was going through your head trying to make those connections, especially when Chad was reading the book and everything?
Honestly, kind of just tumbleweeds, because I was trying so hard to remember. Like, I only wrote down the one sentence when we stumbled upon that the hand symbol with the flame,
Mm-hmm.
and I basically wrote that, and along with I had something in my other notebook that I had wrote, and I think it was, I think it was in regards to the book that Johnny picked up. But like that was before he stole it, and but like other than that, I had nothing written down. But like I knew for a fact that we'd obviously seen the symbol in the past, and I was just trying to think like what else do we know about this? Because I know there's more, but drawing blanks. Cloudhaven has a giant connection.
But moving on from that, we got two questions here which are kind of tied together. So we'll first start out with another Benedict one here, and it's the whole saving Caladan and being in the face of danger thing. Like, you were fully prepared to run into that wall of force,
Correct.
as well as, I mean, because you can't hear anything that's happening in there, but obviously,
Yeah.
you would see him on his knees and this dude like trying to put his hand on his forehead and shit. Like, what's
Yeah.
what's Benedict's thoughts throughout all that?
So, without giving away too much, if Benedict was able to get through the barrier, he did have a plan.
Yeah,
There was definitely communication before the bubble had became an obstacle. And ever since that point, it's been kind of like a Johnny Hut moment.
Yeah.
And that ties into a little bit the last question that I have for Caladan, which was friends versus faith. And digging a little bit deeper into that whole decision of like letting him put whatever he's trying to do versus not letting him do it.
Yeah. Well, and I think at the end, I don't know. It's really hard to like try to put the ultimate deciding factor other than the obvious, which I mean, it was friendship, but it also was in a sense like both of them combined when Ace finally said that last thing, because I don't know. I didn't want to give it up, but I didn't also want to lose my friends. But I don't even know if he would really fathom living without either one. So if I had to choose make a decision to where I could instantly give it up, some massive part of my life, and to save my friends, or I could just, if I know they're behind me and they're backing me by sending me those messages, I know they wouldn't make that decision. So that kind of just like, I don't know, it made it like all of it fall together. Not only was my faith like holding my character's, judgment as strong as it could, but then it was like the friends that, they're like picking you up off the ground, and you're like, you would face it together rather than just give it no opportunity and then just give up something that I feel like they might have not done if they were in my position. So
I love it, dude.
So that's
So
why it was
juicy.
like, that's why when he said it, it was like, I almost, like I said, it was like Vegeta, dude, when he looks back at his son and does the final flat, like he sacrifices himself knowing that he feels like everybody outside of that bubble would have done the same thing. And then his face is also just, again, the backbone, it's just another part of it that they both kind of collided, but, he's got both of them. That's why I made that decision. That was the hardest part, was being like, again, like, I don't know, I could have just said yes, which I did, but I had to think of, what would ultimately change that. And Benedict and Ace were the things that changed that gave me that realization,
Yeah, there was 2 times where he was going to put his hand on your forehead, and you said, "All right, I'll let him do it." And then I was literally like, "It's inches from his forehead." And then both times, Benedict stepped in, and he was like, "Yo, you're stronger than this. We got this. We're still fighting." And then you were like, "Yeah, no." And then the second time, it was the same thing. You're like, "All right, yeah, fuck it, I'm gonna let him do it." And then and then Ace came in. He's like, "That's what a sissy would do." And you're like, "No, fuck that." Such a fire moment,
And
dude.
that's why I was like, the moment was perfect. Sitting there feeling so vulnerable. Then it's like the warmth of not only something that I've grown to love, which is Kaladin's faith, but now something that he's never really had something personally, which is friendship, which is like a bond that he never really experienced. He's got a motive right now, but now he has reason to. Again, it's faith and friendship. So that would, that's what I felt was really cool about that fucking moment, man. Sure.
Yeah, like Caladan's whole oath and like him being a paladin and everything is like,
Sure, he might be at times be like a badass motherfucker, like, "Yo, let's go crush shit," but it's for a good cause. Like,
Yeah.
you're saving the people, and like doing this and experiencing all this,
Yeah.
you really got to touch and feel and see, like, oh, these are the people that I'm saving.
And put it this way, I honestly think Kaladin, that's why he struggled a bit, because with his faith, I think making that decision alone would have been pretty easy, because he doesn't want to lose anybody flat out, right? That's why he wants that. That's why he loves Tyr. Tyr gives him a motive and a reason to fight for the things that he, wants revenge on in this world. But I think that alone is why the reason he was so easily to give it up, because, if he had to make his decision like that, it's just saving people. That's fine. He would rather die or have something get taken away from him, because he's used to that, like, pain and nothing, I guess, But
Such a fire moment. And, like,
Yeah,
dude, going back and watching it, you could literally see Josh like had his like where you're biting your fingernails. He was like elbows on the table, like leaned forward, fucking. And then the whole thing where Ace was like, "That's what a sissy would do," and then you're like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna wrap his arm under mine. I'm just breath weapon in his face," and then fucking Ben literally like fist pumped the air, and he's like,
yeah, dude, it was sick. But yeah, I don't think with his faith alone he would have just given it up. But again, with that realization of that whole other side of it is what, ultimately gave him the reason to fight till the end with his friends.
Yeah, I think this session trumps all of our other sessions, like, by a fucking long shot. It's not even close.
100%.
It was so smooth, and just everything that happened from beginning to end is, I love it, dude. And I'm super excited. I've never been more excited to see like what's gonna happen now, and hopping back into this. Not only with, I mean, especially the fight, like what is gonna happen with this whole fight, and there's another knife in the sarcophagus, and you guys have one on you, and how are we gonna get Johnny up, or are you guys gonna survive? What right now, fucking Caladan's in a wall of force, and you guys don't know how long that wall of force stays up for.
This is gonna be
Yeah,
wild.
you're fucking telling me, man. I'm waiting any second now.
Yeah, I've never been more excited. And then also, like, even if you guys do make it out of here, and after, you know, whatever happens will happen, making it out of the crypt, everything that will happen after that, it's gonna be fire. But yeah, that's all I had for bullet points and questions. I had a couple for Ace and Chad, but
one of the questions I had for Chad was the same thing I asked Caladan, was about the visions, and then Chad's thoughts on the whole army, and his thoughts on the Death Knight and the knife and how they all tie together. And then the questions that I had for Ace were his letters during the gate battle, because you guys were on the gate doing all this shit, and Ace was which I thought was really cool, was in the back trying different shit, and then he was the person to actually message you guys and be like, yo, like, this kind of seems like hopeless. Like, we got to
figure something out. And then the other question I have for Ace was new people, new group, and is it worthwhile, or why is it worthwhile? Which then could also be asked for all of you guys. Because, you know, we can call Ace the new guy, but I think he's actually been with the party longer than when you guys have been together, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you guys met, slept in Fogsfield, and then took like a wagon ride to Newey's Cross, and then you met Ace. So you guys were together maybe, what, 3 days? Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's hard to talk about things, especially with this elephant in the room with the cliffhanger, as well as it's pretty early on, so we don't want to spoil much. But
I feel like that was some conversations that we needed to have.
This has been
not bad.
Nights at Night, discussing episode 4 and 5, mostly 5. We'll see where this goes.
What's the number?
It'll be interesting.